that was Sketchy McLean thinking. We're tickling the top of the hour here at KRFF 95.9 LPFM, Moorhead, Fargo, 701-478-4959, or if you're in the area. But if you're in Lingenstein, Norwegian, if you're Norwegian, radiofreefargo.org. You can donate, you can listen to, you can stream wherever, and then you can listen to archive shows. Side stage with Trav, noon to 3 on your Thursday, then automation from there. Then 4 to 5. That's me, kind of talking D with Wilson. And then after this, it's Stinky Arts Music Mart, sides, locals on the 8, and then Radio Free Madness. That's your Thursday. Again, kind of talking D with Wilson on KRFF 95.9. Welcome to the show. We're going to talk about cannabis. I talked about cannabis last Thursday. I'm going to talk about cannabis this Thursday. And I'm going to talk about cannabis and the positive benefits next Thursday. So at 4 o'clock, you come here, you're going to hear cannabis talked about in a positive light. And this show is brought to you by Becky's Body Butter, Black Alchemy, Black Cottage Alchemy, preferably has what's called this body butter. Man, this stuff is insane. It's got kosher full spectrum CBD, North Dakota grown hemp. It's got Indie hemp seed oil. It's got the 3 spices that was brought to baby Jesus. This stuff will get it done. You got odds to ends on West Fargo. Tochi products right outside here. And then while you're in there, you can sign Indie for Freedom of Cannabis Act petition. That's also at Orange Records. You can sign that. And you can get Becky's Body Butter on Facebook, Black Cottage Alchemy. And tell her Wilson sent you. Thank you for sponsoring Kind of Talking D with Wilson every Thursday. Now, I've used these guys. I've gotten a shoe voucher just to go see my daughter graduate. This is Open Doors 65. It's a nonprofit 501c3 faith-based ministry in Fargo, North Dakota. They reach out to the Fargo-Moorhead metro area by providing a free thrift store, clothing, shoes, household items, linens, to those in need. They offer friendship and encouragement, which I've gotten, and it's free. Mostly. For more information, visit their website at http://opendoors65.com/ or call them at 701-799-7550 or 701-261-7434. Yeah, Open Door 65. They've got like a little free store. You know, you can like get so many items a month, and I think it's great. Well, it's April. Man, I love April. A lot of cool things in April if you're a green lover like me. You know, it's Earth Day. You got my birthday. You know, it's pretty green. I got my daughter here who drove from Dickinson in her big car. She's staring at me now. She knows about my birthday in April, and it's just a green, beautiful month. Probably my, favorite month maybe for all the stuff that's inside it. And then you're reminded to recycle, and you know what I mean? It's really a fun deal. And, but yeah, I sure am proud of her, and she's here looking at me. So that's good for you, and it's good for me. Kind of Talking D with Wilson. I get in here at 4 o'clock. 4:20, I open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and this Thursday is no different. 4:20, we got a lot to talk about, boy. Oh, boy. But we're up to our first musical breaky here. So let's see. We got Lake Street Dive, Making Do. It's brand new tunes. So it's all going to be new, mostly. See you in a bit. Yes, sir. That was brand new Lake Street Drive. I always get that mixed up. Lake Street Dive, Making Do off their new album. Kind of Talking D. Welcome to a beautiful Thursday afternoon where we talk about cannabis in a positive light. And I'm going to showcase this person here, Gail Peterson. She's a cannabis nurse. Been in there just grinding in the legal kind of in the legislative machine. You know, nobody really knows what it takes to get bills and get things pushed, you know. And I know when I had a Committee for Compassionate Care, Leslie in here, she mentioned a few things they were going to try to get. And so Alexa Johnson, she posted on the Cannabis Caucus page, and I decided to steal it because it pretty much, you know, says what I want to say, and it gets us to the next musical break. But House Bill 1359 passed the Indy Senate, 45-2, which is great. Really does say at least something for medical cannabis program in North Dakota. I mean, for all of its faults, that's something. So shout out Gail Peterson for getting that handled. Shout out to parents and patients who provided testimony for House Bill. See, and that's another thing, organizing stuff, getting people to drive. So I just wanted to mention a few things that this does. So House Bill 1359 will make possible the following. Lifts the burden of a designated caregiver being tied to a patient 24/7. That's beautiful. Both of a minor patient's guardians may be able to administer medical cannabis. Children in split custody situations may have a better chance at a consistent medication regime. Individuals in long-term care will gain greater possible access to medical cannabis. So, beautiful. Individuals in group homes, residential placement will gain greater possible access to medical cannabis. The possibility of caregiver administration co-ops will exist, and that's stinking fantastic. Let's give Gail Peterson a hand. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, that could go right past people, so I just want everybody that listens knows that, when you see it easier down the road for something that really had, caregivers and, parents hung up, on the details, on the policies. When they're like, what do you mean I got to follow this guy around 24 hours of the day just so he can get a stupid, cannabis capsules? It's like, I hate this guy. Really, I can only handle 3 hours of the day with him. I'm stuck 20 because I can't pass it off to anybody else. So caregiver kind of momentum is pretty cool. But again, April, Canna Talk ND with Wilson. We talk about cannabis in a positive light. At 4:20, I'm going to open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and boy, oh boy, it's going to be fun. I'm going to pretty much stay in this area. We got a lot going on. It's almost like a soap opera. It just kind of burns my hindy when I think about it. But we'll open the bag. I'll take the news out, and I'll give it to you. 420. 95.9 Radio Free Fargo. Wanted to mention Samuel R. Caldwell. He was the first man arrested for selling cannabis October 2nd, 1937. That's crazy to me. That he's just, and I seen it on Facebook like I get all of my hard-hitting facts. But Samuel R. Caldwell, he just looks like a farmer, good old boy. That has no idea how to handle prison. He knows how to milk cows and, slab the bacon off a hog. Now he's doing hard time in Sing Sing? But anyway, shout out to people like this and people like Gail Peterson that are pushing the momentum towards legal cannabis. Whole spectrum, we will talk about more at 420. So, welcome again. And sure is good to have you guys listening. Beautiful day here in Fargo. I hope the sun's shining on all of y'all. Okay. But anyway, I'm Wilson. I'm you're the king of green, Captain Cannabis. Oh, and I've seen something that's been going on like Yes You Cannabis. Right? No, you can't. Yes, you cannabis. Tell your buddies. But anyway, we're up to our next musical break here. I got Eddie 9-Volt. Because it just seems kind of cool, what's the real part, Eddie or 9-Volt? But anyway, we got two from him, and then seatbelt up, if you got a medical card, put the thing in the thing and do the thing, and I'm going to open your eyes to cannabis news, my version, 420, here on Radio Free Fargo 95.9. Also, Canna Talk ND with Wilson on YouTube. I'll do that tomorrow, minus the music. Philip Cannahead Pilco does the Cannaheads on Sunday. Check that out. And then Indie for Freedom of Cannabis on, Instagram. And you can listen on Spotify and Apple Music as well. Isn't that neat? So here's to Johnny 9-Volt. I'll see you in a bit. Showtime. Man, oh man, that was a double shot of Eddie 9-Volt. Started that off with the come up and then wrapped up with Brighter Days. Canna Talk ND with Wilson. Every Thursday at 420, I open a bag of cannabis news. And we pull everything out, and then I discuss it, and you guys listen, and you think to yourself, boy, he really knows a lot about cannabis. Well, not as much as Joel Heitkamp. Okay, so we'll talk about what Joel Heitkamp thinks about cannabis legalization right after this. So you know how I do it. Radio Free Fargo 95.9. That's the intro. Cannabis. That's what we're going to talk about. Get your grandma into the living room.
Yo, it's Wilson from Canna Talk ND. The super awesome show you're getting ready to listen to. I think you should go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll wait. Okay, enjoy the show.
Okay, I think we'll go ahead and just stop it right there. Hello, folks. How are you guys doing? You guys ready to listen to cannabis legalization news? I am. So let's start with, where are we here? Right there. Okay, we're going to talk about this. March 26th this year. I think it's a letter to the editor, I think. It's called Dave Smoked It. You guys have probably read it. I'm just going to read it through for fun. And so it gets you an idea. Now, I think he's a radio personality. I think he's a liberal guy, whatever that means. So we're supposed to be looking at this with an open mind. He'll have an open mind for you. I'm guessing he's about, he loves, he's like 3 kamikazes at a bar away from telling you everything about, him. But this is him. He goes, have you ever smoked marijuana? Pot, weed, reefer, and grass. And I'm sure I'm missing more. I'm not talking about smoking for medical reasons, but rather for fun or recreational purposes the state legislators are referring to. I haven't before, but I'm thinking many of you have. Well, maybe that's the problem. Maybe you should. What's wrong with you? You're going to sit here and tell me how awesome it is, but it's not for you, though, right? All the other vices, if you can consider them, that's free for, consumption. But if you're one of those guys, maybe you have. But he sure hasn't. But maybe you have. That's the problem that many of the conservative legislators are having, he says. Most of the people that live in states with legalized marijuana don't see a fellow when they brush their teeth in the morning. In fact, most of them don't see anyone that broke the law, but rather that simply enjoy getting a little high. They know it hasn't led to strong drug use, and it hasn't hurt anyone. Well, I don't know. I don't know that I love that either. I'm just here to bring you the facts. But it sounds contrived and pretentious, might I say. Why do we even need to hear what he thinks about it? Is that going to help? Is this going to help? Basically saying he's better than everybody else, but if you want to be less than, you go ahead. He won't, but you can. There are exceptions, of course, just like there are exceptions to alcohol use. Not everyone drinks a beer becomes an alcoholic, and not everyone that smokes a joint becomes a drug addict. Period. There's the problem. Becomes a drug addict. He's saying if you consume cannabis, you're a drug addict. Just like, or potential for a drug addict. Potential. Like if he has an idea how many joints you could smoke a week to make you a drug addict. See, it's a medicine. It benefits everybody. That's where people get railroaded. The only reason it's recreational is because it just doesn't have a doctor at the dispensary or whatever. You can just buy it, freedom. It's freedom. That's it. And the benefits are endless. But if you consider it a drug-addictable disease under this look at me virtue signaling, well then, you suck, mister. Go let your sister listen to all this bull crap. So that's all I got. That's all I got. That's all I got for you there. But I did think it was a little, ridiculous. Now, North Dakota senators moved to put marijuana on 2022 ballot after killing legalization bill. So let me see if I can get you guys up to speed. House Bill 1420, supposed to be voted on by senators, and they did really weakly. There's like 10 of those. There's only 10 of them with spines, and a couple that were in Fargo, which everybody kind of expected them to be pro, like rhymes with Shipeshorn. He claims he did it strategically because he didn't want it to get through. And I'm always leery of them guys, I'm always leery about them guys. Seems like they're selling you, suntan lotion made out of butter, like Kramer. But anyway, I get sidetracked. So that one didn't make it. Now the same people that voted resoundingly no to legal cannabis now has a little bone for you. There's not much meat on it. They'll take all the meat. Then they'll charge you for the meat back. That's what's going to happen. So let me read a little bit of this. This is from Marijuana Moment. A bill to legalize cannabis in North Dakota might have been rejected by the Senate. That's the one I was talking about, House Bill 1420, after being approved by the House. But a Republican senator has a new plan to enact cannabis reform, put the issue before voters as a 2022 referendum. Whatever that is. Expected to be referred to the Senate Human Service Committee because technically, the legal, whatever this is, the legislative session is technically over. So again, they want you to think that they're doing something special. They're stopping, stop the presses. Our people want cannabis. After resoundingly, refusing to allow it happen. They rejected it. The same people that rejected it are wanting you to go ahead and vote on this. Because the argument is, with ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act, legalize ND, which I think they should just get behind, put everything behind the current one going. ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act, just everybody hit your horse up and screw the man. Because if L&D does their thing and everybody does their thing, well, then they know that it blends the numbers. So you have options. So everybody will go with a different option, and then none of them will get in. So now, however, I don't agree with, things always. And I know there's their differences, but I would think if it was the ultimate screw the man, like the people should get together and just hit him. Figuratively, because my lawyer said I would never hit anybody. I can't hit anybody. So anyway, pickles, am I right? The text of the proposal would go before voters simply: the Legislative Assembly shall authorize and regulate the manufacture, sales, and use of adult use cannabis in the state. That's it. They want you to vote for that. And so it's so vague. It's so vague because it can be messed with. It can be messed with. It can get in there. And I was kind of critical of the LND's, ballot initiative because it had so many words in it. But I can see how comforting that can be to spell something out, because I know this vague. This isn't a here you go from the Senate. No, this is like an Easter egg that inside has got like coleslaw that's been out on the table for a few days. You know what I'm saying? So it would be up to lawmakers to craft legislation to enact legalization in a following session if voters sign off on it, on the general idea at the ballot box. It would have to be up to lawmakers to craft the legislation. They will craft it. They probably already have the little craft already ready. It'll be horrible. So anyway, the new legislative move comes as activists with the group North Dakota Cannabis Caucus are collecting signatures to qualify a constitutional amendment. Separate group, Legalize ND, is also planning to push for a legalization ballot, which, like I said, they were behind House Bill 1420. They kind of got screwed too. So I think they should just, let the bygones be bygones and hitch up to Indy for Freedom and then just smoke them. Just come in rolling. But that's just me. I'm just a radio guy that talks about cannabis in a positive light, called Canna Talk Indie with Wilson, 95.9. Radio Free Fargo's where you're going to find me. We're opening a big fat bag of cannabis news in the middle of it. I've got like half the Ziploc open. It stinks in here. Oh, it's 420 degrees here in the studio. I'm dressed appropriately. I hope you guys are too. Now, back to the thing. What that means is that if the legislature approves the latest proposal from Senator Dick Deaver, rhymes with lever, North Dakota could see as many as 3 legalization questions on their ballot next year, a situation that could create significant complications for activists as voters attempt to choose their preferred option. See, potentially splitting support such that no measure receives a majority. See, so it's almost a strategic plan by the people who resoundingly said we don't want cannabis legalized. And if we do, we want it so regulated that, it choke you to death. Senator Majority Leader Rich Wardner said that lawmakers are concerned that a loud minority of North Dakota residents would approve an expansive, advocate-led ballot measure, that's Indy for Freedom, and so the new resolution represents an alternative that would enable the legislator to set more restrictive rules that wouldn't, for example, allow home cultivation, which I think in an agriculturally based state, well, except for the raping of the oil, we should be cultivating the snot out of cannabis. Besides, I'd probably argue it was the last place that was cultivating cannabis before the, it's bad. You know what I'm saying? The freedom fighters were the furthest up north. That Samuel Caldwell was probably from, Lincoln, Nebraska. It was the last one to go. But anyway, sometimes the best defense is when you go on offense, said Wardner. If it's voted down, yes, I like it. I don't want recreational marijuana, but I'm not going to let the other 2 options be out there all by themselves. So that's like, what a prick. Can't we all just get along? Let's hug a couple people for Jesus and weed. Let's do it. Everybody, let's get together now. So that's I don't want to have a guy that I put in charge to make decisions for me think about that as far as I'm concerned. Like what he thinks of me. He goes, I'm not going to let the other 2 options. It's what the people want, right? They're people-driven initiatives. They want it done. So you're just going to kink it up and throw up, volley one up just to blend, dilute the measures. So Legalize ND was among certain pro-legalization groups that were supportive of the separate House-passed legalization bill that died on the Senate floor. And not everybody was. I didn't love it. I think it was horrible. And the fact that they were going to yank Delta 8 out. So no, I didn't like it at all, which means I'm not going to like this. It's too vague. Even David Owen, he said it's a cynical attempt to argue that they are creating a legalization program without actually creating a legalization program. And it's fluff and tickle, folks. 2021 style by the people that are supposed to be doing what the, over 50% of the voters in this particular state. You know what I'm saying? So, man, I don't love it, but I think the more people knows, and I just get the information out. This is a humdinger. Tell your buddies. Don't vote on it if another one comes on. Because, if Indy for Freedom and LND can't get up on the 2022, then am I hoping it'll be on there? I guess. But be strategic at the ballot box. If there's 3 of them, know which one is the monkey. The lemon bar. Make sure you know which one will blow up in your face, go poopy. And then vote on the other 2. So as long as we can get the education out to people and they know that the government's trying to do a hook and poopy, go with, option 1 or 2. If that can be communicated, well, then that's good. So North Dakota already has legal cannabis use. It's called hemp, said David Owen. And he's right. Because if you do a full spectrum capsule or an oil and you vape Delta 8, trust me, you say, who cares? We don't even need it legal. It's already legal. And that's the problem. Once they realize hemp can do what hemp can do, they're going to come up with legislation to get that thrown out because it helps and it works and people like it. And they hate that. They don't like that. So I'm just keeping you guys up to speed. Now let's get into Minnesota a little bit. Okay. I just wanted to say that Senator Paul Gazelka, he was a big problem. So this is like pretty big news. And he was the majority leader of the Republicans. So if you're following Minnesota legalization bill 660, HF 660, then you know that it's went through like 49 million committees so far. And there's so many more to go. And they're going through them. They're making them. And they're doing great. House, people love them. But the Senate is going to have a problem because of this Paul Gazelka. Well, according to Minnesota Campaign for Full Legalization, he has been converted from a staunch prohibitionist to a champion of full legalization. So let's give Paul Gazelka a hand. And I got to believe it was our homies in Minnesota calling the people they were supposed to call and just light him up. I gave the personal information so you could get a hold of stinking Paul Gazelka. So that's really good news. Thank you for Minnesota locals that, called up Paul Gazelka and said, hey. All right, so I'm going to read a little bit here. Minnesota marijuana legalization bill will get House floor vote next month. Majority leader says, Winkler, my homie Ryan Winkler. Now, I wonder if he's been, teased as a kid because it could rhyme with sprinkler. Do you think? Winkler, sprinkler? I don't know. My ship will sinkler if I don't have a sprinkler, Winkler. House Majority Leader Ryan Winkler, sponsor of the reform legislation, said it will move through its remaining committee. Man, oh man, there were so committees. It's full chamber in May. Okay, and then so next stop is the Environment and Natural Resources Finance Committee. There was Labor, Industry, and Veterans Affairs Committee. There was Workforce and Business Development Committee. There was, and everyone that it goes through just makes this a better bill because it's got all of its bases covered. So still, even if the legislation does make it all the way through the House, it's expected to face a significant challenge in the Republican-controlled Senate, which the majority leader was that Paul Gazelka. And so apparently, because the people calling and lighting him up, we made him change his mind. So that's the power of the people. So if everybody in North Dakota can figure out which is the dummy measure that the government's going to construe, that easy one, the 10-word legalization bill, then we just all got to come together and know that one, we can't vote on that one. Like we did Measure 2. Measure 2 is number 2, remember? So a Nebraska committee on Tuesday approved a bill to legalize medical marijuana in the state. The legislation sponsored by Senator Anna Wishart, which if I had heroes per state, she'd probably be mine there, would allow patients with certain qualifying conditions to purchase and possess up to 2.5 ounces of cannabis from licensed dispensaries. It would not allow patients to smoke marijuana, however. Now, 3 of his heads just blown up. You can have it, but you can't smoke it, however. They put however after that. Yeah, you're going to be legally able to purchase and possess up to 2.5 ounces, but you can't smoke it, however. Wow. Doesn't that seem like, the coyote falls in the hole? But anyway, these two women have been consistent champions of cannabis reform, and while this bill is a fairly limited proposal to legalize it, the pair announced they're working to put the question of legalization for adult use before voters in 2022. Now, as you guys know, Nebraska has really had a hard time. They went and they got, the signatures, and then the Supreme Court found 3-2 that it was more than a subject rule, so that's not great. So anyway, let's talk about New Mexico. Normal. Governor to convene special legislative session to advance adult use marijuana legalization. And this is pretty interesting here. Members of the New Mexican State House and Senate failed to approve House Bill 12 to legalize. However, lawmakers are expected to take up the issue again in a matter of days. The governor's office issued a press release. Legalized adult use cannabis is one of the best moves we can make in our work to build a bona fide 21st century economy in New Mexico. But rushing through amendments in the final hours of a session when there's a mountain of other important work to be done is not the right way to do something of this magnitude. No doubt the remote nature of this session with public health safeguards in place has slowed some items, though I applaud the legislator's staff. Lawmakers for the moment have once again failed to deliver common sense marijuana policy reform for the people of New Mexico. So I don't know. There's always problems. Oh, I wanted to say, because I just remembered, stinking New York is now legal. So if you're from New York, good for you. And I believe Virginia's coming too. So anyway, I want to read this little story here, and then we'll call it a do. You're listening to Canna Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. I was here this Thursday, and I'll be here next Thursday. So you guys come on back. We'll talk about cannabis in a positive light here on KRFF 95.9 LPFM. The sun's shining in my world, and I hope it is for yours. Here's a little feel-good story from your storyteller, Wilson. This is from Mike Simrad. He wrote this, and he's a Nebraskan. I visited a family member in hospice today. It broke me in two. But seeing some smiles from him at the sound of my songs made it all worth it. I got to rekindle memories and play some songs we always enjoyed playing together at Simrad Family Jams, as he laid in severe pain. This relative means the world to me. His cancer pain could easily be squashed with medicinal cannabis, but our governor, Pete Pricketts, I call him, and the great Tom Osborne think differently. They'd rather see people suffer in their final stages of life, which makes perfect sense with Pete's approach to preventing COVID in our state. In fact, my dear relative shared with me an experience he had in our smart neighboring state of Colorado, where after ingesting edible cannabis, the pain essentially left his body, and he was able to finally rest free from pain for at least a while. But out of fear, he was unable to bring any back home, crossing state lines like a scene out of Porky's. This is called disgusting ignorance. It torments me to no end how uneducated we Nebraskans are when it comes to our resources as a people. As a state, we are a nationwide embarrassment who needs a hard reset on reality and a fast-track class on the benefits on earth. And that pretty much just sums it up. Not enough people are hearing that stuff. It's being vilified as, if we let it come in real easy. I just don't think they understand the benefits of cannabis, even recreational, because even then it's medical. All right? So there you have it. Canna Talk ND with Wilson. We talk about cannabis in a positive light. And I don't know about that Senate one. I don't know I'd have to think about it. But North Dakota saying we'll put it on the measure after refusing to vote it through. Here's the problem I have. I should be able to trust the people I put in power to do my bidding, to be my Mortimer, to be my, my Huckabee. But instead, they're planning on doing things to get a desired result by being manipulative and divisive and smooth. That's the opposite of what the people are wanting. Why are we fighting? You know what I mean? Why are politicians trying to come up? I mean, they act like it's a game, it sounds like a strategy. How can we keep from getting those horrible people-driven initiatives on the ballot? Oh, I know. We'll come up with a weak one with no strings and no safeguards, and we can do it how we want instead of not listening to the people and getting the desired result. And so that I don't like it. I don't like this. I'm not sure. Like, it's weary. I look at it like a dog who's gets hit in the face with a steak all the time. I don't like it. They should have just voted it through, and it wasn't even a good one. So that bothers me too. And some senators and some of the Fargo ones said it was a horrible one, so we're going to vote no. Now, will that guy vote yes on a better one? My knee-jerk reaction is no. No, that was just a politician's way to not assuming any responsibility for what the people wanted and still voted no. And then Joe Heitkamp calling it, you're a drug addict if you do cannabis. That doesn't help. I mean, he didn't help at all. I mean, he may, those arrogant people that, listen, I'm just making stuff up. I'm sure nobody's bad. We're all good. Let's just hug everybody. And then legalize cannabis. But to me, I never thought I could say virtue signaling ever. I never thought that. I probably shouldn't say it. And just like my accents. My daughter's watching. She's making sure I don't say accents because I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it. But I still do it anyway. And I'm just waiting for when cancel culture comes for the people who don't do very good accents. So if you're an accent guy that's never really nailed, the Chinese waiter, don't anymore. Because it just leave it up to like Jeff Foxworthy and the guys that can do it. However, that's a good point. Cancel culture comedians acting like different ethnicities. Huh. Well, I hope not. We need comedy in the world, and here in Fargo, we love each other, and I love you too. Cannabis. That's what does it. Let's get it in. And I'll keep you posted. But it looks like, it seems like it's something easy for them to get on the ballot. Seems like they just put up a flag and say, ooh, last minute run, here's a referendum. It's 10 words, and I don't know. Here's a question. Do you think that this is a plan and it's going to go through because it's the general consensus to just muddy up the ballots? I think so. So Canada Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. We talk about stuff like this, and I'll be back next Thursday. I'm not really sure what the news for next week will be. I know Minnesota's blowing through committees. That's the one we should be voting on in North Dakota. We have Indy for Freedom of Cannabis Act currently circulating. You can go to Orange Records, Tochi Products. You can go online. You can get them to take care of you. And do your part. Let's punch it through. Because I've always been an underdog. I've always been inclined to watch underdoggery. And this one I think is worth it. Stand up and push it through for justice. All right, well, we've made it. This hour of programming on KRFF 95.9 LPFM is being underwritten by Wild Terra. Wild Terra is an urban cider in downtown Fargo that features locally made craft ciders with a focus on dry and experimental ciders that also serves beer, wine, and kombucha. Wild Terra is located at the corner of University and NP Avenue with lots of easy parking and a new outdoor patio, plus they're dog and family friendly. Open 7 days a week. Wild Terra, adventurously well crafted. Check out more at wildterra.com. Thank you, Wild Terra. So, it's time for, let me see what's coming up next here. Oh, yeah, the blues band, GA20. Got Musselwhite and Luther Dickinson from North Mississippi All-Stars. And so I'm going to do a double shot of them. And then I'll come back. I'll get you guys all tucked in. And then Kid and I are going to Spicy Pie. And that was 2 songs from GA20, blues band out of Atlanta. Kind of talking D with Wilson. every Thursday. Thanks for joining us, or me. I will talk to you guys next Thursday. At 4 o'clock, I'll get in here. 4:20, open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and we'll just hang out. You know what I mean? You and me. Radio Free Fargo, 95.9 LPFM. On deck, we got Stinky Arts Music Mart. Locals on the 8, and then Radio Free Madness to wrap up your Thursday. Thanks for keeping it, locked in. Radio Free Fargo. You can donate at radiofreefargo.org, and I'll be happy that you did. Radio Free Fargo, again, provided you this beautiful programming, so kick back if you want. Tochi Products, Orange Records, Indie for Freedom, and Cannabis Act, you can sign. Educate yourself so you can educate others. I just want to wish everybody a happy April Fool's. So do some hijinks and some minimal skullduggery. So, just wonton willy-nillys. That's what we're doing. That's what you're doing. But anyway, Canna Talk ND with Wilson. Every Thursday. Cannabis. It's what's for breakfast. Get it in your world. And let it take care of you. But anyway, just go to Canna Talk ND on YouTube for this show tomorrow. Minus the music. And come back here on Thursday. Next, like I said, Stinky Arts Music Mart. Locals on the 8. Radio Free Madness. We start the day off with Side Stage with Trav, noon to 3. He was out of town this particular day, but you can be sure he'll be back in here with his kazoo underwear on his head, wearing crazy self. Whereas I'll be back here Thursday, 95.9 Radio Free Fargo. I don't know what to talk about. Isn't that crazy? What do I talk about? I don't know. Let me see here. Let's see. As the New Mexico Senate continues to debate the legalization bill the House approved this morning, we'd be remiss if we didn't tell all of you not watching about what a good legend State Senator Jacob Candelaria is. A story and 2 images you can watch live here. But apparently Normal tweeted, "This is a gram of cannabis concentrate that we vape later by me after we pass this bill. Probably all of it at Senator Candelaria holding up what is likely some fire stuff." And the senator posted back on Normal, "Straight fire, that's how we do in Burke." Normal kicks back, "There's no such thing as a perfect state legislator," at Senator Candelaria. "After the last session, I spent a lot of time at home binge watching RuPaul's Drag Race and smoking a lot of weed while doing it because that's my right," says Senator, my favorite Senator, Jacob Candelaria. Let's give him a hand. Okay, everybody have a good holiday weekend or Easter weekend. Celebrate and express it the way you do. I'll be back here. Have a good weekend. Like always, here's David Allen. Judgment Day. Peace.